Book of Exodus, chapter 28. The priestly vestments. Have your brother Aaron and with him his sons brought to you from among the Israelites, that they may be my priests, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's sons, for the glorious adornment of your brother Aaron. You shall have sacred vestments made. Therefore tell the various artisans whom I have endowed with skill to make vestments for Aaron to consecrate him as my priest. These are the vestments they shall make: a breastpiece, an ephod, a robe, a brocade tunic, a turban, and a sash. In making these sacred vestments, which your brother Aaron and his sons are to wear in serving as my priest, they shall use gold, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen. The ephod and breastpiece. The ephod they shall make of gold thread, and of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn embroidered on cloth of fine linen twined. It shall have a pair of shoulder straps joined to its two upper ends. The embroidered belt of the ephod shall extend out from it, and like it be made of gold thread of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined. Get 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the names of the remaining 6 on the other stone, in the order of their birth. As a gem cutter engraves a seal, so shall you have the 2 stones engraved with the names of the sons of Israel, and then mounted in gold filigree work. Set these 2 stones on the shoulder straps of the ephod as memorial stones of the sons of Israel. This Aaron shall bear their names on his shoulders as a reminder from the Lord. Make filigree rosettes of gold, as well as 2 chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, and fasten the cord-like chains to the filigree rosettes. The breastpiece of decision you shall also have made embroidered like the ephod, with gold thread and violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, on cloth of fine linen twined. It is to be square when folded double, a span high and a span wide. On it you shall mount 4 rows of precious stones. In the first row a carnelian, a topaz, and an emerald. In the second row a garnet, a sapphire, and a beryl. In the third row a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row a chrysolite, an onyx, and a jasper. These stones are to be mounted in gold filigree work. 12 of them to match the names of the sons of Israel, each stone engraved like a seal with the name of one of the 12 tribes. When the chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, have been made for the breastpiece, you shall then make 2 rings of gold for it, and fasten them to the 2 upper ends of the breastpiece. The gold cords are then to be fastened to the 2 rings at the upper ends of the breastpiece, the other 2 ends of the cords being fastened in front of the 2 filigree rosettes, which are attached to the shoulder straps of the ephod. Make 2 other rings of gold, and put them on the 2 lower ends of the breastpiece, on its edge that faces the ephod. Then make 2 more rings of gold, and fasten them to the bottom of the shoulder straps, next to where they join the ephod in front, just above its embroidered belt. Violet ribbons shall bind the rings of the breastpiece to the rings of the ephod, so that the breastpiece will stay right above the embroidered belt of the ephod, and not swing loose from it. Whenever Aaron enters the sanctuary, he will thus bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastpiece of decision over his heart, as a constant reminder before the Lord. In this breastpiece of decision you shall put the Urim and the Thummim, that they may be over Aaron's heart whenever he enters the presence of the Lord. Thus he shall always bear the decisions of the Israelites over his heart in the presence of the Lord. Other vestments. The robe of the ephod you shall make entirely of violet material. It shall have an opening for the head in the center, and around the opening there shall be a selvage, woven as at the opening of a shirt, to keep it from being torn. At the hem, at the bottom, you shall make pomegranates, woven of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen twined, with gold bells between them. A gold bell, a pomegranate, a gold bell, a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe. Aaron shall wear it with ministering, that its sound may be heard as he enters and leaves the Lord's presence in the sanctuary, else he will die. You shall also make a plate of pure gold, and engrave on it, as on a seal engraving, sacred to the Lord. The plate is to be tied over the turban with a violet ribbon, in such a way that it rests on the front of the turban, over Aaron's forehead, since Aaron bears whatever guilt the Israelites may incur in consecrating any of their sacred gifts. This plate must also always be over his forehead, so that they may find favor with the Lord. The tunic of fine linen shall be brocaded. The turban shall be made of fine linen. The sash shall be of variegated work. Likewise, for the glorious adornment of Aaron's sons, you shall have tunics and sashes and skullcaps made, for glorious splendor. With these you shall clothe your brother Aaron and his sons, anoint and install them, consecrating them as my priests. You must also make linen pants for them to cover their naked flesh from their loins to their thighs. Aaron and his sons shall wear them whenever they go into the tent of meeting or approach the altar to minister in the sanctuary, lest they incur guilt and die. This shall be a perpetual ordinance for him and for his descendants. Exodus chapter 29, consecration of the priests. This is the rite you shall perform in consecrating them as my priests. Procure a young bull and 2 unblemished rams with bran flour. Make unleavened cakes mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers spread with oil, and put them in a basket. Take the basket of them along with the bull and the 2 rams. Aaron and his sons you shall also bring to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and there wash them with water. Take the vestments and clothe Aaron with the tunic, the robe of the ephod itself, and the breastpiece, fastening the embroidered belt of the ephod around him. Put the turban on his head, the sacred diadem on the turban. Then take the anointing oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. Bring forward his sons also and clothe them with the tunics. Gird them with the sashes and tie the skullcaps on them. Thus shall the priesthood be theirs by perpetual statute, and thus shall you install Aaron and his sons. Installation sacrifices. Now bring forward the bull in front of the tent of meeting. There Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on its head. Then slaughter the bull before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Take some of its blood with your finger, put it on the horns of the altar. All the rest of the blood you shall pour out at the base of the altar. All the fat that covers its inner organs, as well as the lobe of its liver and its 2 kidneys, together with the fat that is on them, you shall take and burn on the altar. But the meat and hide and dung of the bull you must burn up outside the camp, since this is a purification offering. Then take one of the rams, and after Aaron and his sons have laid their hands on its head, slaughter it. The blood you shall take and splash on all the sides of the altar. Cut the ram into pieces. You shall wash its inner organs and shanks and put them with the pieces and with the head. Then you shall burn the entire ram on the altar, since it is a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. After this, take the other ram, and when Aaron and his sons have laid their hands on its head, slaughter it. Some of its blood you shall take and put on the tip of Aaron's right ear, and on the tips of his sons' right ears, and on the thumbs of their right hands, and the great toes of their right feet. Splash the rest of the blood on all the sides of the altar. Then take some of the blood that is on the altar, together with some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle this on Aaron and his vestments, as well as on his sons and their vestments, that he and his sons and their vestments may be sacred. Now from this ram you shall take its fat, its fatty tail, the fat that covers its inner organs, the lobe of its liver, its 2 kidneys, with the fat that is on them, and its right thigh. Since this is the ram for installation, then out of the basket of unleavened food that you have set before the Lord, you shall take one of the loaves of bread, one of the cakes made with oil, and one of the wafers. All these things you shall put into the hands of Aaron and his sons, so that they may raise them as an elevated offering before the Lord. After you receive them back from their hands, you shall burn them on top of the burnt offering on the altar as a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. Finally, take the brisket of Aaron's installation ram and raise it as an elevated offering before the Lord. This is to be your own portion. Thus shall you set aside the brisket of whatever elevated offering is raised, as well as the thigh of whatever contribution is raised up. Whether this be the installation ram or anything else belonging to Aaron or to his sons, such things are due to Aaron and his sons from the Israelites by a perpetual statute as a contribution. From the communion offerings too, the Israelites shall make a contribution, their contribution to the Lord. The sacred vestments of Aaron shall be passed down to his sons after him, that in them they may be anointed and installed. The son who succeeds him as priest and who is to enter the tent of meeting to minister in the sanctuary shall be clothed with them for 7 days. You shall take the installation ram and boil its meat in a holy place. At the entrance of the tent meeting, Aaron and his sons shall eat the meat of the ram and the bread that is in the basket. They themselves are to eat of these things by which atonement was made at their installation and consecration. But no unauthorized person may eat of them, since they are sacred. If some of the meat of the installation sacrifice or some of the bread remains over on the next day, the remnant you must burn up. It is not to be eaten, since it is sacred. Carry out all of these commands in regard to Aaron and his sons, just as I have given them to you. 7 days you shall spend installing them, sacrificing a bull each day as a purification offering to make atonement. Thus you shall purify the altar by purging it, and you shall anoint it in order to consecrate it. 7 days you shall spend in purging the altar and in consecrating it. Then the altar will be most sacred, and whatever touches it will become sacred. Now this is what you shall regularly offer on the altar: 2 yearling lambs as the sacrifice established for each day, 1 lamb in the morning and the other lamb at the evening twilight. Excuse me. With the first lamb there shall be 1/10 of an ephah of bran flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil of crushed olives, and as its libation 1/4 of a hin of wine. The other lamb you shall offer at the evening twilight with the same grain offering and libation as in the morning. You shall offer this as a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. Throughout your generations, this regular burnt offering shall be made before the Lord at the entrance of the tent meeting, where I will meet you and speak to you. There at the altar I will meet the Israelites, hence it will be made sacred by my glory. Thus I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar, just as I also consecrate Aaron and his sons to be my priests. I will dwell in the midst of the Israelites and will be their God. They shall know that I, the Lord, am their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, so that I, the Lord their God, might dwell among them. Exodus chapter 30, the altar of incense. For burning incense you shall make an altar of acacia wood, with a square surface 1 cubit long, 1 cubit wide, and 2 cubits high, with horns that are of one piece with it. Its grate on top, its walls on all 4 sides, and its horns you shall plate with pure gold. Put a gold molding around it. Underneath the molding you shall put gold rings, 2 on one side and 2 on the opposite side, as holders for the poles used in carrying it. Make the poles, too, of acacia wood, and plate them with gold. This altar you are to place in front of the veil that hangs before the ark of the covenant, where I will meet you. On it Aaron shall burn fragrant incense, morning after morning, when he prepares the lamps, and again in the evening twilight when he lights the lamps. He shall burn incense. Throughout your generations this shall be the regular incense offering before the Lord. On this altar you shall not offer up any profane incense or any burnt offering or grain offering, nor shall you pour out a libation upon it. Once a year Aaron shall purge its horns. Throughout your generations he is to purge it once a year with the blood of the atoning purification offering. This altar is most sacred to the Lord. Census tax. The Lord also told Moses, when you take a census of the Israelites who are to be enrolled, each one as he is enrolled shall give the Lord a ransom for his life, so that no plague may come upon them for being enrolled. This is what everyone who is enrolled must pay: 1/2 shekel according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel, 20 gerahs to the shekel, 1/2 shekel contribution to the Lord. Everyone who is enrolled at 20 years or more must give the contribution to the Lord. The rich need not give more, nor shall the poor give less than 1/2 shekel in this contribution to the Lord, to pay the ransom for their lives. When they receive this ransom money from the Israelites, you shall donate it to the service of the tent of meeting, that there it may be a reminder of the Israelites before the Lord of the ransom paid for their lives. The basin. The Lord told Moses, for ablutions you shall make a bronze basin with a bronze stand. Place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Aaron and his sons shall use it in washing their hands and feet. When they are about to enter the tent of meeting, they must wash with water, lest they die. Likewise, when they approach the altar to minister, to offer an oblation to the Lord, they must wash their hands and feet, lest they die. This shall be a perpetual statute for them and his descendants throughout their generations. The anointing oil. The Lord told Moses, take the finest spices, 500 shekels of free-flowing myrrh, half the amount, that is, 250 shekels of fragrant cinnamon, 250 shekels of fragrant cane, 500 shekels of cassia, all according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel, together with a hin of olive oil, and blend them into sacred anointing oil, perfumed ointment, expertly prepared. With this sacred anointing oil you shall anoint the tent of meeting and the ark of the covenant, the table and all its utensils, the menorah and its utensils, the altar of incense and the altar for burnt offerings, with all its utensils, and the basin with its stand. When you have consecrated them, they shall be most sacred. Whatever touches them shall be sacred. Aaron and his sons you shall also anoint and consecrate as my priests. Tell the Israelites as a sacred anointing oil, this shall belong to me throughout your generations. It may be used in an ordinary anointing of the body, nor may you make any other oil of a like mixture. It is sacred and shall be treated as sacred by you. Whoever prepares a perfume like this, or whoever puts any of this on an unauthorized person, shall be cut off from his people. The incense. The Lord told Moses, take these aromatic substances, storax and onycha and galbanum, these, and make pure frankincense in equal parts, and blend them into incense. This fragrant powder, expertly prepared, is to be salted and so kept pure and sacred. Grind some of it into fine dust and put this before the covenant in the tent of meeting, where I will meet you. The incense shall be treated as most sacred by you. You may not make incense of a like mixture for yourselves. You must treat it as sacred to the Lord. Whoever makes an incense like this for his own enjoyment of its fragrance shall be cut off from his people. God bless you.